The Twins make it 11 straight with a 5-2 win over the Red Sox. They're now 18-13 on the season and closing ever closer on the top of the division. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the upcoming games in the series and a whole lot more. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNE. And I am joined, as I almost always am, by Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. Dave Brown, what up?
Yeah, you were going to call them the White Sox there, I think, in the original intro, because we're just so used to the Twins playing the White Sox every day and not getting enough credit for their winning streak because they played the White Sox too much, which I can identify with a little bit. But these Red Sox, they're competent Sox. They're better Sox. And this victory counts just a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, and for all we heard about how the winning streak didn't count because of who the Twins played, one of those teams ahead of the Twins lost to the Angels today. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, I feel like the White Sox right now are the socks that you have in your drawer that fall down, and like you pull them up and they fall down. They pull them up and they fall down. And I've always said life is too short to wear those kinds of socks. I'm not saying people got to stop watching the White Sox, but it just might be better for their mental health and well-being at this point. I have a lot of White Sox fans in my feed, and I feel so bad for them. But this is Locked On Twins, and we thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hi, YouTube. And yes, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the W. You can keep your ride alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay's guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers. Dave, 11 straight, first time since 2006, and Twins 18-13 now, 7-6 at home. That 11-game winning streak was from June 22nd to July 3rd in 2006. I want to read you the starting lineup from either the first game of that series or the streak of the last. Should I read you the last because it was the 3rd of July?
Yeah, do the last game. It's more, I guess it's more relevant to the streak
and
at this point.
In Kansas City. So what are you wouldn't have been at this game. That wouldn't have been your Kansas City era, right?
Oh, no. I was not I was many years away from Kansas City. Still in Chicago, covering the reigning, defending world champion Chicago White Sox. Seems like a million years ago, though.
Look at you. Leading off for the Twins that day, Luis Castillo at second. Nick Punto played third. Joe Mauer was the catcher. Joe Mauer on this day, after going 1 for 3 this day with a home run off Scott Ellerton, was hitting .391 with a .458 on base and a .546 slugging percentage. I'm not sure how much more you could ever ask for from a catcher.
That boy looked like a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, maybe a little. He's 23 at that time, so he had a little bit more time to shine, but he certainly showed it that day. Michael Kadire in right was cleanup that day. Justin Morneau, the future MVP of the league after that. Torrey Hunter, Shannon Stewart. Lou Ford came in for Stewart later on. Jason Kubel batted 8th and was the DH, and then batting 9th with a slash line of 306, 403.387. Jason Bartlett at shortstop, and Jhoan Santana on the mound that day for the Twins. Maybe equally as fun, though. I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but how much of the Royals lineup that day do you think you could name?
Oh, I don't have a nice thing to say. Mike Sweeney, was he in the game?
Nope. First base that day was Tony Graffanino, and replaced later in the game by esteemed Locked On Twins guest Doug Mankiewicz.
Boy, Tony Graffanino starting at first base, and we were ripping the current Twins for the winning streak they had against These guys, I mean, that's not.
I believe it's short. They had the reigning AL Rookie of the Year.
Angel
Baroa. John Buck behind the plate. Esteban Herman was DH and batting ninth.
Steve German.
Yep, exactly. And then pinch hitter to the Stars, Matt Stairs, hit for him late in the game.
It was
DeJesus, Grizzolonic, Reggie Sanders, Emil Brown, Tony Graffinino, Mark Tien, Angel Baroa, John Buck, Esteban Herman. And the pitching for the Royals is just hysterical. Scott Ellerton, Todd Wellmeyer, Andy Cisco, Ambiorix Burgos, and Joe Nelson. Has there been more of a unique to not unique name swing in a single game ever from Ambiorix Burgos to Joe Nelson?
I don't think so. I'm not even sure if I remember Joe Nelson. I remember lots of Joes and lots of Nelsons, but this is getting to be a long. Was this 18 years ago? So yeah. I think we'll remember Tanner Houck more than we remember. Yeah. Although this is just the 11th game, so I mean, it could keep going the streak. So I don't know.
I remember Jeff Nelson, but not Joe Nelson. I remember Burgos was nasty. Like he just had nasty stuff. But that's not really the point for today. Again, Twins 11 in a row. And we just read to you the starting lineups for both teams the last time the Twins won. 11 in a row down in Kansas City on the 3rd of July, 2006. Things a little different now. But hey, before we get into the Twins side of things, I do want to give some love to Tanner Houck. I thought he only had 6 swinging strikes on the night, but I thought everything he throws comes in at an angle or a curve. And the trick for me is when you're that guy and you're young and you're having to locate it, that's hard, right? Well, once you start learning how to locate it, you have to start learning how to locate it not right in the middle of the plate. So like in the old days, baseball video games, the pitch would either break to your circle that you put on there or it would break from your circle. I feel like that's the challenge for a guy like Tanner Houck is, okay, do you put the circle where you want the ball to break to or break from? And his stuff moves so much, but he's gotten to a point where he never leaves it right down the middle. I feel like his location was superb. Took the Twins a significant effort to push across that first run. I don't know, man. I didn't know what to expect, and I was impressed with Tanner Houck for dang sure.
I've liked his stuff for a number of years. It's just it seems like the Red Sox haven't been in the best place of developing players. This isn't really a great era for the Red Sox. I mean, they're playing a lot better than they were last year, but it's not. It seems like they're doing less with more, even though they don't have as much as they don't have Mookie anymore and some other players like that. But it seems like this year though they've been doing better. They've pitched well. They haven't played defense well, and that would rear its head in this game at 1.2. Yeah. And I think that's sort of one difference you can see between the two teams and between a lot of the teams that the Twins play, that they're not typically going to give things away too much on defense. It didn't start out great. It was kind of the worst almost way you could start the game, other than a couple of dingers, I guess. Carlos Correa making an error on a ball that is routine for most players, including him. And then Rafael Devers hitting a double, putting Scott Paddock on the Chris Paddock. Did I call him Scott again?
Yeah,
I'm gonna find my guy, Scott Paddock, my high school football teammate. But Paddock didn't let him in. It was, that's where the game was essentially tilted in the Twins' favor. I think Paddock putting his foot down, acting like the sheriff that he is, and arresting the Red Sox lineup in its tracks. That was the first big key to the game.
Yeah, between the sheriff and the Air Force cadet, I feel like the Twins had some pretty good enforcement of the strike zone. Actually, I thought the home plate strike zone was actually quite a bit better for the during the game, but not good for either. But I feel like, we're going to look back and it's going to be a couple points in favor of the Twins. And we'll see. But I thought Houck was good. And let's be fair to the Red Sox before we take our first pause here. They got back Vaughn Grissom for the first time all season. So making his Red Sox debut, if I'm not mistaken, after coming over in the trade. Yeah. So he hadn't played for the Red Sox yet after he'd been traded from the Braves. Their injured list to this second now includes catcher Tyler Heineman, first baseman Tristan Casas, shortstop Trevor Story, infielder Romy Gonzalez, outfielder Masataka Yoshida, pitchers Brian Bello, Lucas Giolito, Brian Matta, Chris Murphy, Nick Pavetta, Garrett Whitlock, and relievers Isaiah Campbell and old friend Liam Hendricks. So no team in baseball has more players on the injured list. Doesn't mean that they still haven't shown up and done some good things. But on this night, a few things that could plague this Red Sox team rear their ugly heads, and we will dive into those here in depth. But first, a word from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience are the formula for winning championships and also what keeps your ride alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Get superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and the eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, we are headed into the bullpen. Dave, by the way, if people want to make sure, they should check out the Locked On Twins Postcast after each game, where Luke Inman and Sam Ekstrom, CJ Baumgartner, Theodore Tollefson. There's a handful of guys. It's a rotating cast of characters, but it's a nice supplement to Locked On Twins. Don't let it replace your Locked On Twins, but definitely let it be part of your experience. You also can catch the Twins on SiriusXM. It's the hometown broadcast. Just download the SXM app, search Twins. You'll find Chris and Danny. It had been Chris and Dan, or Glenn Perkins. Dan Perkins. Who's Dan Perkins? I think he was a Twin too. Glenn Perkins.
Yeah, he was. How can you forget Dan Perkins? I think he was a piranha. I mean, he wasn't one of the piranhas, but he was around then.
I don't think that's right. Anyway,
yeah, 1999. Sure.
That's
I'm right as always. I'm always right. 29 games, 6.54 ERA. Dan Perkins.
Yeah, the Piranhas were like 2007, 2006.
No, they were like 2003.
No, the Piranhas were 2006. It was the year they had Jason Tyner and Luis Castillo and Jason Bartlett. I'm telling you, Dan Perkins, not a Piranha, but he was.
What about Nick Punto?
And Nick Punto, yeah. Nick Punto didn't join the team until like 2003 when he was traded with Carlos Silva.
And that's when the Piranhas started.
Ozzy didn't start calling him that until 06. I'm positive.
No, he wasn't the manager until 05, I think.
5? Yeah.
04 or 5, yeah.
Anyway, so I thought Tanner Houck was pretty good, but Chris Paddock, boy, he showed me some things tonight.
Scott Paddock would have shown you some things if this was freshman football.
Yeah,
Chris Paddock's the man. He had extra juice on the fastball. He was up at 96 or so as a high. He wasn't sitting there, but and when he needed it, he went there. And great movement and good control, great command. I would say it's as good a start as he's had looking back at since he was a rookie. I mean, It was his best. I know he had like that 10 strikeout game against the White Sox, but are we getting back to how they don't count as much? So I would give him a little bigger of a cookie as a reward for this than that.
You know, I thought outside of the obvious ones, which are Paddock and Duran, Griffin Jax was phenomenal in this one too.
Maybe his best inning of the year. It was nope, you're not getting anything off me this inning. It was very decisive.
It was like he had everything going exactly where he wanted it to. He threw 11 pitches, 6 swings, 5 misses. Like that's about as dominant of an inning as you can have this side of an immaculate inning. 11 pitches. He struck out the side, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah,
yes,
he was about as close to an immaculate inning as you could have. Yeah, 11 pitches, 9 strikes. So he threw a couple extra balls in there to throw us off the scent. Boy, don't say balls and scent in the same sentence. Don't do it. But yeah, what an incredible inning for Griffin Jax. Sorry.
And no Brock Stewart because he's got a shoulder owie.
Yeah, lots of stuff like that.
I can't decide whether that's worse than an elbow. It's usually worse when your shoulder hurts.
Well, and I think his shoulder was what bothered him last year too. They set him down for a while to a point where it was kind of questionable, like, oh, how soon is he going to get back before
that was his injury right before the playoffs?
I want to say so. Yeah. I mean, obviously my memory's not
right. Yes.
So I mean,
so that's not great, but they can compensate for it, but it doesn't make me feel good anyway.
No. And so, it's nice to have depth. Jorge Alcala coming back up after Caleb Bushley's day in the big leagues was literally a day in the big leagues. In fact, they announced the move to bring Bushley or to send Bushley back today. He actually was sent back on Thursday because he pitched for the Saints in Thursday's loss. So I saw
that announcement. I thought that he had come back and then was sent back again.
Yeah, kind of like
really confused.
Kind of like one of those unsolved mystery stories where someone went to the beyond and then came back and had all this information they could share. And then everybody
but no Robert Stack to make it aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, exactly. I love Robert Stack, man. By the way, I forgot to mention that the pitching matchup for tomorrow is Pablo Lopez and Chase Anderson. So one that should favor the Twins, but Pablo has been a little up and down of late. By the way, quick Pablo note, the Marlins trading Luis Arraez. How's that for a passing bomb, a May passing bomb on the tweets? I was shocked because, the Marlins are going nowhere. They have no direction whatsoever, but I did not think it would be this quickly that they would abandon ship.
According to people who know things, they didn't get a top 100 prospect in the deal. So I don't know if that means they got a couple of prospects that people like, one in particular. Can you read off the names? I don't.
I had Woo Sun Go and then Dylan Head. That I think. And then I saw something.
Minor leaguer.
Yeah, I think Nathan Marcy was the other one. I'm going to pull up.
And there's one more. The other guy that we haven't mentioned that we can't think of his name. Some people that I've opinions who I appreciate said, oh, that's the good prospect, but he's still not a top 100 guy. So
no, it looks like a mismatch of like hitters. So they got a bunch of guys who, like, you look at the top of the hitter list for the Padres, and none of these guys are really there. The Dylan Head is, I think, he's 6th on their list. Jacob Marcy is 9th. You have Wusa. I can't say the name. It's the Wusukgo, who came over from overseas. He's been pitching in Double-A, not a prospect necessarily. And then Nathan Martorella, I think, was the other one.
Yeah, that's the guy that the people like. They're not sure if he's a big enough power guy for first base, but
yeah, he's
it's a strange trade because, like we said, they didn't get a top 100 prospect, and it's Arraez. The Padres have been pretty good at scoring runs. Which Arraez would kind of help them do, but do they need the leadoff type at second base? I don't know. I mean,
well, and where's he going to play? I mean, they have Xander Bogaerts playing second, and he's miscast as a second baseman. The Marlins don't care because the Marlins are just not particularly well run, and that's a slight on the fact that they changed GMs this last offseason, despite how last year went. But starting at first base all the time, Jake Cronenworth. Starting at second is Bogaerts, and short is Ha-Seong Kim. Machado at third. And so that's going to probably leave Luis Arraez batting leadoff for them and DHing, which is a beautiful conundrum.
That's a good point. I mean, it doesn't getting the glove out of his hand or the mitt is probably a good thing. So, but you know, in the wake of, it's funny, in the wake of the Pablo trade, it just doesn't seem like it's anywhere. I mean, you have lost, I guess, another year of team control. So he's not as valuable as he was at this time in May of 2023, but it still seems like we can confirm the Twins did pretty well in that trade. So, and especially the way Edouard Julien has gone at second base this year, improved on defense and good situational hitting and lots of other things. Tonight had a couple of really nice hits, including a big single, a seeing eye single. But you were talking about Paddock's movement, and Julien did the right thing. You know, he was going to get a strike. What's that?
Houck's movement, not Paddock. You had me confused for a second there.
Sorry. Well, I am confused. So
good.
I'm easily confused. But Houck's movement was so good, but Julien did the right thing, taking it to the opposite field, and it was a beautiful piece of hitting. It was, maybe a little bit lucky too for hitting it where they ain't, but that was the first kind of big hit of the game for the Twins as far as producing runs. So just thinking about that Arias trade, it's whether it's Pablo or giving Julien an opportunity, it's one that's working out for the Twins quite well.
Say it with me. Great trade, Falvey.
Great trade, Falvey.
Hey, let's take a break. When we come back, we will go around the affiliates. We'll go around the division. Twins picking up some ground on the division, which we have not been able to say much. But again, a quick break here, and we'll be right back. Boy, Dave, the buttons just were not appearing for me there. PrizePicks, though, is North America's largest daily fantasy sports platform, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and it's because it's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players who are doing their funky algorithms or they're playing a million entries. It's just you picking more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watching your winnings roll in. If you like to take risks, I would recommend the Demons. Those are the red picks. They're a little riskier, but there's big multipliers. You could put down $10 and come back with 1,000 if you hit on one of those on a 100-time multiplier. But if you're a little more cautious, a little more conservative, the Goblin picks are for you. Those are green, and they keep you in the green and help you land consistent victories. The payout is lower, but again, your winning streak adds up. So you got a couple different approaches to go. If you're into the NBA, playoffs going on right now. We got Wolves coming up here on Saturday, but you can pick more than or less than on everything from 3-pointers made to turnovers committed. And for baseball, anything you can imagine under the sun. It's the game with the most statistics, and you have so many to choose from. You can do more than or less than on pitcher strikeouts, first inning runs, or for the Twins, how about runs after the 7th inning? Because they have been rolling in those so far this season. So download the app today and enter code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's the code LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, all lowercase, and you get that first deposit match up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And finally, we've all been there, either as a player, as a fan, or as a fan, excuse me. It's halftime. It's the 7th inning, and the scoreboard is not looking great. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out the W, but you dig deep, you lift up your head, and you say to yourself, it's time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. Are you confused? Don't be. That is the smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go, and it lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the new Monopoly that you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's also so much more you can do. You can play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Again, I think that just sounds fantastic. And you can also charge other players rent for your iconic properties. Or if you want to be a nice guy, you can work with your friends to crack open community chests in tournaments and get extra rewards and climb those leaderboards. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go, free on the App Store and on Google Play. All right, Dave, we're coming down the home stretch here, and it's some fun stuff here coming up with Pablo Day. It's a special ticket package. They were wearing the jerseys in the broadcast booth. It's a good matchup for the Twins, Pablo against Chase Anderson. How How about this though? How cool was it to see Jhoan Duran back out there, get that home entrance that first time? He started off the season injured, and actually the last episode of The Diamond came out. I don't know if you had time to watch it, but I did, and they detailed his rehab assignment, and there was just a lot of cool inside baseball details. There was Austin Martin hitting his first big league homer, and his girlfriend, I think wife, whatever, congratulating him and saying, "Hey, here's some wine to your first big league home run." And just I like that they humanize these guys. And so seeing Duran show up and go on his rehab and all that, it was still, though, it was a nice taste of contrast to see. They show him running out from the bullpen at CHS Field, and then to see him make his entrance at Target Field. I don't know that there could be any more night or day, two separate scenarios than that.
Yeah, and the light show and the pomp and circumstance, all just one of the things it does, it just reminds, before he's even thrown a pitch in the game, it reminds the fans and the players in the field and the broadcasters and everybody watching that the Twins have, this is one of the best players in the league, certainly at his position, and befitting of an introduction like this. It is. I mean, it's over the top, like other introductions are, but that's kind of the fun, kind of wink, I think, to like pro wrestling. Or
I was going to say the same thing. It's like a pro wrestling nod. Yeah.
And but that's one of the good things about pro wrestling is the theater and the soap opera part of it. And,
Randy Savage literally came out to pomp and circumstance. Like how much more apt of a metaphor is there?
Yeah, really. It's and it's just, it's a sign. I mean, they've had a couple injuries, but the Twins are getting healthier, and the whole. I mean, they were kind of blowing it in the first inning there, but once Paddock got control of the game, up until the last out with Duran on the field on the mound, I had a playoff vibe about the evening. It was a big game. The Red Sox are in town. The Red Sox, while they're not as in their great period right now, they're still competitive. And the Twins were mostly putting on a show for one of these AL East teams that are supposed to be better than them. And it kind of reminded me the whole night of why I picked the Twins to win 97 or 98 games. And I think they're going to be able to compete with everybody. It must have been a fun night to be a Twins fan. It was, Jeffers said, he gets chills whenever Duran comes into the game like that. Morneau, who's been around the block a few times, was like, "This is worth the price of a ticket." And it reminded Corey of the playoffs last year, and Morneau was like, "Yeah, that's what I was thinking too." So, everybody who was getting excited about the Twins this season, this night and the ninth inning, good reasons to remember why.
Let's take a quick trip around the affiliates, by the way, because St. Paul had a nice night. Louis Varland shuts down the opposition in a 4-0 win. 8 strikeouts, no walks, 7 innings. Game over in an hour and 54 minutes. Also a nice little deal there. Matt Wallner homered.
Really nice. It's great.
Yeah, Wallner homered again, second straight game. So maybe finding the swing there. And they also signed Adam Plutko on a minor league deal. So a little more big league, former big league depth down there in their pitching staff. Wichita was still playing last I saw. It was late and they were tied. But Fort Myers shut out by Bradenton. We talked about how bad Bradenton was. And boy, Bradenton's turning things around at Fort Myers' expense. But four-hit shutout of the Muscles tonight. And Cedar Rapids 1-0 walk-off win. Misael Urbina reached on an error, driving in Danny D. Andrada in the 9th. So big win for Cedar Rapids. And then around the division again quickly, Sonny Gray beating the White Sox with 7 shutout innings. It's a 3-0 win, 6 strikeouts. His ERA is down to .89. Royals beat the Rangers 7-1. Brady Singer, my guy this offseason, you might remember, shuts down the Rangers 6 innings, 1 earned, 8 strikeouts. Yankees walk off the Tigers 2-1. Jason Foley gets 0 outs. It was a single, a bunt single, a double, and a single, and he was walking off the mound in shame. And then the Angels, who everyone said that's why the Twins had their streak going, was because the Angels stink. Well, they shut out the Guardians 6-0. Tanner Bybee giving up 6 earned in 5 innings pitched, homers to Mickey Moniak and Nolan Shanwell. Lots of things to unpack there, Dave.
One game in the loss column, the Twins are behind the first place Guardians. So all that hand wringing and Occam's razor, cutting yourself with it, and the Twins are right behind them. It's like that beginning of the season thing didn't happen. And I don't think the Guardians are going to go away necessarily, but the Twins just might be so good that they're going to fly right on past everybody like Maverick when he hit the brakes, except they're not going to hit the brakes. So it's not really an apt analogy, but I still think the Twins are going to fly by everybody.
Well, and it was funny. I had a Royals fan flexing in my mentions, and I was like, you guys are one game above the Twins in the standings. 0 losses. Like, it's
Look at it like this. Flex while you can, because I was going to say regurgitation, but that's not what I mean. Regression's coming, and it could be a B.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, what else do we have to get to? We've got about a minute here, which is not very long. Yeah,
we have to spend it. Can we cash it in later?
Yes, let's do that. Let's cash it in like it's a Money in the Bank briefcase. But hey, Dave, that was a lot of fun. It went fast. It always seems to go fast when you
not an hour and 54-minute ball game, but it did go fast. Yes,
and at the same time, a 31.5-minute podcast. So we'll take it. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been Locked On Twins. For Dave Brown, this is Brandon Warren signing off, saying thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow night.